Good morning. When we, as a community, tried to process the shootings that took place last July in a dark movie theater, we spent a great deal of time thinking, talking to people, trying to look at what could we as a state do to address some of these issues. We did pedal the planes last fall, but I had a couple dozen conversations around various parts of the bills that we're going to sign today. One of the most obvious things was the issue surrounding mental health, and several months ago we introduced a package that really aggressively faced some of the challenges that we have in mental health, and I think the General Assembly has taken that work and is pushing it onward and farther. I think we're making real progress in that. But we were looking at what else could be done. And what we're going to sign, what we have signed today, are several bills that materially make our state safer in the long run and allow us to begin to address some of these issues head on. One of the things that we saw almost everywhere in the state, almost everyone I talked to, whether it was Republicans, Independents, Democrats, was the value of universal background checks. When we began talking about universal background checks, there was suddenly a groundswell of people very concerned and agitated about certain parts of it. And we're not creating a centralized database where the gun dealers that historically have been doing these background checks will continue to do them, that they will maintain that information. Obviously the most contentious bill dealt with the high-capacity magazines, and certainly I was ambivalent on that in the beginning and listened hard to both sides. But I think there are some basic facts we should keep in mind. This bill does not confiscate any firearms. It allows people to continue existing those magazines that they already have. It doesn't ban or prohibit any individual who's eligible from purchasing a compliant firearm or magazine. What it does do is it bans the future sale of firearms and magazines that can be readily convertible to accept more than 15 handgun bullets or 28 inches of shotgun shells. And it's that simple. These high-capacity magazines have the potential to turn killers into killing machines.
Hello, I'm State Representative Lois Court, and I sponsored the bill to end the taxpayer subsidy for background checks. I want to thank the governor and my colleagues and my Senate sponsor, Senator Raleigh Heath. By closing this taxpayer subsidy, by ending this taxpayer subsidy for the background checks, we free up somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million annually. And as everyone has mentioned, mental health is a huge issue. And so this is $2 million that may be able to help us address mental health in Colorado. And that really was my motivation, is what could we do with those $2 million if we ask the gun purchasers to pay a minimal fee, $10, $12 for their own background checks. So I reiterate Representative McCann's thanks to all the people who helped, our heartfelt sympathy to all of those who were victims who stepped forward to help us on all of this legislation. And again, thanks to everybody who was involved in this. And now I'm proud to introduce our Senate President, Senator Morse.
Thank you, Representative Court. This legislative session became about guns, but it wasn't planned that way. It was forced upon us by two horrific massacres in 1 year, one in our own backyard. It's been an exhausting and emotionally draining session. And on the day that we should be celebrating the signing of these three bills to make our communities safer, I'm mourning the loss of yet one more person to this senseless violence that's plaguing our entire country. I'm a numbers person, as those of you that know me know, and numbers reveal truths. So today, let me talk about some numbers. 2. That's the number of earth-rattling massacres we had in 2012. 12. It's the number of people that were killed in the Aurora Theater as they watched the Batman movie. 58. That's the number of people that were wounded in that same theater. 100. That's the number of bullets kept by the magazine used by the shooter in that theater. 26. It's the number of people killed in the Newtown massacre. 30. The number of bullets in the assault weapon that was used by the killer in that Newtown massacre. 6. The number of children that managed to escape when the shooter's gun jammed in Newtown and he had to change magazines. 3. The number of gun bills that we're signing into law today. 0. The number of guns any of these bills takes from law-abiding citizens. These are laws the majority of the Colorado citizens wanted, and we've worked very hard to make them a reality, and many people in this entire state have worked hard, including those behind me, but many of those in front of me and many of those 100 miles from me, and we do thank you so much for your help in doing this. As leaders, we've got to make tough decisions. And yes, criminals will always find ways around laws, but that doesn't mean that we should surrender to them. We have to do everything we can to save every life that we can and constantly be vigilant that it is very easy to kill someone with a gun. So everything we can do to make it harder will save lives. And I believe the laws that we sign today take great strides in that way, and I'm proud to stand up here with my fellow legislators and with my governor having signed these bills today. Thank you very much.